Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt man! All right! Episode 283 of Shirt Show! We're talking with Jennifer from Pigskins and Pigtails in Texas. Let's go!
Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Dylan, owner of Upstate Merch and the host of the Shirt Show podcast. My guest today was Jennifer Sanderson from Pigskins and Pigtails. It's kind of a different story than we're used to on Shirt Show. Basically, she is getting all these people who are into kind of like crafting or, getting started in screen printing. Again, a lot of people that we talk to were like, oh, I started in my kitchen and I was drying things in the oven or I was washing out screens at the car wash or whatnot. She's kind of the helping people get into that, getting people to start screen printing and grow a thing. And she went viral and has a whole line of products and is doing amazing things, getting people involved in our industry. So, it's really cool. So, pay attention, listen to what she has to say, and, you'll really kind of respect what is going on and how she's getting people involved in our industry who might not have otherwise or thought it was too difficult to do. No matter where you are listening to the Shirt Show, if you get anything out of this episode or any episodes you've listened to before, please like and comment and subscribe on YouTube or on Instagram or anything. It does a huge thing for the show. The most important thing you can do is share it. I'd appreciate it. If you want to reach out to me personally and talk about the show or talk about something that helped you or didn't help you, or if you want to recommend somebody to be on the show, send me a DM on Instagram at Shirt Show Official. There's a whole website with a bunch of awesome articles and stuff, shirtshowofficial.com. Go check it out. I'd really appreciate it. This show would not be possible without our amazing partners. Frank. It all starts with a screen. Whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team do it the best. To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, greatfuckingscreens.com, or ffffrank.com. Cleaning screens is no fun, but EasyWay makes it way more funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals and equipment make reclaiming screens a whole lot easier. Right now is a great time to check them out because they have a new monthly giveaway where you have a chance to win $250 in product credit. Head to easyway.com/giveaway to enter today. I want to say that if you're watching this or listening to this and you haven't entered, if you're a screen printer, it's free stuff. Like, just sign up. And if you win $250, you get a bunch of chemical that's going to help you out. So it's kind of no reason not to. EasyWay. It's the easiest way. Graphics is your source for production-ready digital art and remote art staffing. They can help any size shop from just starting out to enterprise level. Looking at a hero to your art department? Check them out at graphicsource.com. Amazing people, super helpful. Again, you can sign up for the monthly, hey, I have a new art department guy. Or you can do a la carte. So if you need steps for one design that you can't handle, or you just need help, reach out to them. They can definitely be there for you. SNS is your premier partner in the apparel industry with one website, one purchase order, and 14 distribution centers, and over 100 beloved brands. You can streamline your ordering and hit free freight faster than ever. SNS has 1 to 2 day shipping with the lowest error rate in the industry. Be sure to order your blanks from ssactivewear.com. Normally I have a read for Gildan and all the brands that they own, but I just want to say Comfort Colors for me is just like, I love that shirt. The 1717 is my favorite. I just went to see a buddy play a show, his band that I love, and I went over to the merch table and he had custom shirts made with the designs that you would normally buy put on a Comfort Colors 1717 because he knows how important that shirt is to me and to my body and to the shirts that I like to wear. So I just want to say, chef's kiss. Thank you, Comfort Colors, for having an amazing tee. For over 90 years, Stahls has been the leading choice among apparel decorators for their heat transfer materials, heat press equipment, and custom transfer services. Not only do they offer some of the best products, but they are always looking to innovate and educate our industry on all things heat press. Head over to stahls.com to order your transfers and check them out on YouTube to be taught a thing or two. Again, can't stress enough, they are some of the best in the industry when it comes to heat transfer materials, and their website offers a ton of stuff. Go check it out at stahls.com. Ryonet has always been that solid go-to resource for screen printers. We talk about it a lot in this episode because Jennifer is involved with them and kind of getting products developed. So they're just great people. They have a lot of really good education. If you're just starting out or if you're looking to grow, they're the place to go check out and talk to. Check them out at screenprinting.com. I want to say two things. If you are new to this industry or if you've been here for a while and you're looking for industry friends and people to bounce ideas off, go to shirtshowofficial.com/Discord, or there's links in the YouTube or on our Instagram. It's a community of like-minded screen printers, embroiderers, digitizers, whatever. Anything to do with our industry, it's in there, and it's police. There's no trolls. You can say what you want to say and people will give you good, honest feedback. So go check that out. The other thing, I have a newsletter, a weekly newsletter now, that I write for my kitchen table every week. It is thoughts about myself and the shop and what's going on, but it's also a lot of recap of last week's episode, tech tips, industry news from Printing United. There's a bunch of stuff on there. We're adding stuff all the time. So if you want to sign up, it would be awesome. I appreciate it. shirtshowofficial.com/newsletter. Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a fun one. I'll see you on the next one. Hey, Jennifer, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I got to say, you were probably the most on-time guest I've ever had.
Good.
I sat down, I got ready, and I'm like, all right, cool. And then literally as soon as I saw my computer hit 11 a.m., it was like, bink, you were here. It was like right.
Thanks for having me on. This is exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So I originally had talked to you. Well, I think I met you in Long Beach. It was Ryan Moore who introduced us. And I thought it was really interesting kind of concept of, what you have going on and how you got started and how you got into this whole thing. But I think the biggest thing is that we talk about on the show all the time how shops got started. And it's usually like, oh, I was in a band and I screen printed my t-shirts and I got into this way, or, I got into a family business, or some way somebody fell into screen printing. And sometimes there's these weird stories of how it happened. And it's kind of cool to kind of figure out how can you get into this industry and how can you make an actual living off of it? You know what I mean? Because it can be an arts and crafts thing. It can be a hobby, and then it can be an actual oh, this is a big deal and I can support my family and I can, I can support employees and I can move on to do all these other things.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's kind of your story. You kind of have a way of hey, I got into this and this turned into a thing. This is my business and this is what I do. You know what I mean? So, can you kind of introduce yourself and say I guess I would love to just hear how you got involved and how you got started.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Jennifer Sanderson with Pigskins and Pigtails. And I fell into screen printing accidentally, to be honest. I was a crafty mom when my kids were little, and we were going to football games. My husband was a football coach here in Texas. So Friday night football was a big deal. And I wanted to make cute little outfits for them to wear. And so I started using a vinyl cutter and making iron-on t-shirts. And probably like a lot of people have experienced, once you make a few cute t-shirts and your kids are wearing them, people want to know where you got them. And then they started asking, can I make them for their kids? And so it was kind of an accidental, getting into making some t-shirts for fun still at that point. And for years I did it that way. And it was just really a hobby for me. Did you
do multiple? I know you said you were doing it for the sports games and stuff, but did you do it for other things as well? Me and my kids go to Disney every year, and I feel so much of Disney is like moms making shirts for the entire family to wear. Was that you? Were you we're doing this event, we're doing this thing, I got to make shirts for it?
Holidays, dress up days at school, all those things. I was able to customize t-shirts. So it's kind of just a fun, oh wow, I can make whatever costume we need with my vinyl cutter. And at that point, it was still just a craft for me. I never personally was making shirts for me to wear because I didn't like the way they felt. They just felt homemade and not professional. So that's really where I turned to screen printing. I knew about screen printing a little bit, and I knew it was kind of an overwhelming process of having a dark room and all these things I didn't have in my house. So I had this idea of taking my vinyl cutter and using that to create the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just literally bought a screen and a squeegee and thought, I'm just going to try this and see what happens. And I put vinyl on the screen. I pulled the squeegee, printed my first shirt, and I was amazed that it actually worked. And so I posted a video of myself making that shirt on YouTube, and it went viral. And so overnight, people are asking me like, well, how do you do this? How do you do multicolor? And all of a sudden I'm like, this was literally my first screen print. I have no idea anything about this industry.
Yeah. People jumping right on you to be like, how do you do this, that, and the other thing? And you just started yourself. So
yeah. So I just started the journey of like, I was hooked from the first pull, knowing that I could make my own shirts in a better quality than what I was making before.
Now, do you feel like that was your motivation, was the quality standard, or was it just
the feel was
the
really
ease of
what
it?
got me into it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously, as I got going and people were asking for like family reunion shirts, the thought of weeding the same design over and over again was like, that's not a way to build a successful business. So the efficiency of being able to set up the screen once and then use it for all of my prints was another big piece. But it started with the feel, and then it kind of turned into like, oh, wait, this is really efficient as well.
But you also kind of approached this in a way of like, well, I mean, you said it earlier that you knew that screen printing was a little more daunting as far as like needing a darkroom and all those other things. Was your goal with this kind of to like merge the two of like, well, I'm going to use the supplies that I have for the most part, like doing the vinyl for basically your emulsion, is kind of like a cool hack in between, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, I don't need a darkroom. I can just make the vinyl, add it to the screen, and print. Like, is that continuing to be your goal? Because it seems like you're in this market of like, okay, I can make this accessible to more people by using some of the tools that a lot of these people already have, and then being like, well, hey, this is also approachable as well.
Yeah, I mean, was really just doing this for myself and wanting to be able to make these shirts from home without having to like take over my garage. I really was just trying to do this on the side. So I didn't want a huge setup at any point. I started learning more about traditional screen printing after I had screen printed with vinyl, because those questions started coming in, or I would print and maybe have an issue with something. So I did a lot of watching videos of screen printers showing how they were doing their process. So it kind of, I kind of worked into the industry backwards, I guess. I had already screen printed, and then I started learning some of the traditional methods. But really, I was making shirts with my vinyl cutter to begin with. So my designs were all things I could cut and weed on my vinyl cutter. So when I transitioned into screen printing, I'm still able to make all of those same shirts with vinyl. So I never really felt like I was missing out by not using emulsion. Over the years, there's been times where I've wanted to do more complex designs that just weren't going to work with vinyl. And I've experimented with other like kits and things that are a little more friendly for home users. And, but my goal is really to keep it as minimalist as possible and show that you don't have to have a huge shop to be able to make shirts. And at the scale that most people that I'm talking to are making them, which is not, growing into a shop that's printing thousands of shirts a day.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier that, you had never planned for this to be a thing. You were just kind of making fun shirts and whatever. When you made that video of you trying to just screen because you wanted the better quality, what happened in your brain as far as like, was that video going viral? Your like, aha of like, oh, I could turn this into a thing. Like, when did it become a project, more of a business to you?
So, even through those first, few videos that I posted that were getting a lot of attention, it was still like people were asking questions, and it was almost like a challenge. Like, I want to figure this out. Like, I figured out how to do the first step. Like, let's see if this works. And so it was, at that point, was still just like kind of building a community of people that were wanting to experiment with me. And it wasn't really a business focus at that point. probably one of the turning points was when brands started reaching out to me. I started growing a pretty big following. And so brands started reaching out and wanting to, collaborate or send me products for me to demo, those sort of things. And that's where I kind of saw my business going first, was like, okay, I got some brand deals, and it's kind of evolved into my
it's
whole
pretty
product line now. Yeah.
It's pretty wild to go from like making some shirts for a football game or something to brands approaching you being like, hey, how do we get involved?
Yeah. It was crazy when the first few reached out, big name brands. I was like, whoa, how did they find me? I'm just a mom here making t-shirts. And I think that what was appealing to a lot of brands is that I was building a community as I was learning. And so there was a lot of engagement, people asking questions on how to do things. And I just was answering what I knew at the time, and got a lot of pushback from professional screen printers that would maybe see comments thinking like, that's not the way to do it, or you're not showing people the right way. And I was just showing people what worked for me, and like, hey, I'm able to make this shirt, and it was exactly what I wanted. So it works for me.
And that's what's funny is like, I mean, I was going to ask you what your feedback was initially, because I feel like there's two sides to it. And it's like, there's the quote unquote professional screen printers, which is also like a very loose term too, because like I've been doing this for like almost 20 years and I still don't think it's like, I could say that I'm professional, but it's like, dude, we all just randomly learned how to do this till now. You know what I mean? Like, I never went to a school for this. I never got professional training in anything. I just did it until it got to this point. And it's like, okay, cool. I have professional equipment. I have employees. I have, a website, whatever. But what makes me necessarily more professional than the next guy is just, what is it? Time? Is it the amount of presses I have? The amount of square footage I have? That's all bullshit. Like, it's all just like flexing. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with anything. So like, I think someone to come to you and be like, well, that's not how that's done. And it's like, well, bullshit, because like I have a shirt, like I made a shirt, someone's wearing it, and it's made with a screen printing ink, if it's Speedball or whatever it is. It's conveying exactly what a t-shirt should be, is it's like an emotion, or someone bought that for an event or whatever it is. Their mind is tied to that occurrence or that event. And it's like, you're doing the same thing. So for them to just be trolls on the internet and be like, that's not the way it's done, it's kind of bullshit. So what kind of feedback did you get in the beginning? Was it all just people naysaying like, that's not how you make a screen, or what was it?
Yeah, it was a lot of like, that's not going to work to make more than one shirt, or that's not going to, that's cute, was a lot of the comments I was getting, like, oh, how cute, you're screen printing. And so I actually screenshotted a lot of those comments early on, and it kind of served as motivation to like keep proving that this was not just, it can be a fun hobby. And it was for me to start with. But as I started to grow, I was teaching people that were starting their own businesses. I was getting feedback from people saying like, I now have a business screen printing because of watching your videos and starting. And so it just started to prove that you could make something out of this. I was finding that the vinyl was lasting a lot longer than just a couple shirts. You can print hundreds of shirts this way if you want to. It took the right technique and some learning of, how to make sure that you don't put too much ink on there and oversaturate it so your vinyl falls off. But it works if you're doing it well. And I think that just being able to prove to those comments early on was like my motivation, that like, yeah, this is also good. What you're doing is great, but what this process works as well. And so just kept me kind of going.
Yeah, what's funny about that, well, it's not funny, it's actually very disappointing, is that, and that's the reason why I can't stand like Facebook or anything like that, is because it's nothing but that comment of like, that's not going to work. Like, what could be said is, and I guess if you want to say it in a mean way, is that's not going to work, but have you tried this? Or, I saw a thing where you could do this, or something, like some kind of solution at the end of it, instead of just like, that's not going to work, period, send. Like, there's nothing there. So instantly when I see those types of comments in like Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, I instantly kind of disregard that person. I'm like, well, you don't know the right answer either. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you right now, 95 or more, 99% of all screen printers who say they're professionals have never tried it your way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we've all done everything else. We've bought random emulsion from someone down the street who's left over. We've washed screens at car washes. We've done this, that, and the other thing. But just because we haven't tried vinyl or used a Cricut cutter or whatever it is, like, who's to say that's not a good way to do it? I watch all these videos on Instagram and all these other things of these people that might not look like you, who are not a mom or whatever, but are some like DIY punk kid in a basement, like making a screen out of something. And you're like, oh, that's super rad. That's cool how they did that. But just because a mom who was making shirts for their kids thing turned it into a business, now it's like, oh, that's not doable. That's stupid or whatever. I think the reality is certain people are intimidated by the fact that you can get into this business or that you have the ability to do this. And it makes us be like, well, shit, like I can't just do basic stuff anymore. Like I have to almost up my game so that I'm competing more with that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's interesting that I'm glad you took it the way that you took it, though. I'm glad you took like, I'm going to screenshot these and this is going to be my motivation to make it different, because I feel like there is a very different side of the market that you are catering to and helping. And like Christina said in her notes here is like, I think her biggest takeaway was like, you know, you're showing these people who are just getting into screen printing or coming to it from your side of the table and being like, oh, this is actually kind of difficult. You know what I mean? Like screen printing is complicated and it does have a dark room and emulsion and multiple squeegees and screens and all these other things just to print a t-shirt. Most people don't realize this. They go on the internet and they're like, I want shirt. And it's like, they think we take a t-shirt and we drop it into a printer and a t-shirt comes out the other side. And that's not the reality of it. The reality is that there's a million steps in pre-press. And then when it actually gets to the press to print, that's the easiest part because everything else is done.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're giving people a visual who might not know, like, hey, there's more involved in this. Like you said, just even like putting vinyl on a screen, like it's not just that simple. Like you have to do it a certain way and you have to put a certain amount of ink in the screen so the vinyl doesn't fall off. Like it's more complicated than people think. And it's cool that you're showing people like starting where they're starting. This is doable to this point.
Yeah, I think it is more complicated, but it's also not as complicated as people think too. Like there's the side of it where like, if you just simplify things down and you take a screen and you put a stencil on it and you pull a squeegee, you're screen printing. And I think that showing people that it is possible at home, like you don't have to have 10 different types of squeegees. You don't have to know what mesh count you're using. Like you can screen print very basically, but then once you get into it, you can, you know, really hone in on like all the details and figuring out what, you know, changes you need to make to get something better or better quality here or there. But like at the same time, it can be very simple too. Like it doesn't have to be a complicated process with a lot of equipment.
So in that story, in that journey, we've gone from you making them yourself to brands approaching you and kind of growing social media and stuff like that. At what point did you turn this into like, okay, this is fun for me, this is a hobby for me and whatever, to I kind of like teaching people things. I kind of like the education side of this.
Yeah, I think it was probably right around the time where brands were reaching out. I had a blog for years. I was just a craft blog and I was posting things there and putting it on Pinterest. So I was getting a lot of traffic from other sources as well at the same time. And I was finding that there, and even from those initial comments, I was finding that there weren't a lot of people that are willing to teach the process. Like you said, like they could have shared some helpful feedback. I wasn't getting that. And so as I was learning these tricks and hacks and whatever you want to call it, I just started posting that on my blog and started growing traffic there. I was monetizing my blog. So it just all kind of snowballed together to be something that I saw potential in being able to make full time and dedicate all my time to just figuring this out and posting more helpful videos. And I did a lot of that initially just because I saw there was opportunity for someone to teach this, that there wasn't a lot of education out there, knowing that, you know, down the road, growing a big followership and all those things could pay off money wise. But initially I was just starting it because I saw there was a need there, and there wasn't a whole big game plan of how I was going to build this as a business. But fortunately, as I was just openly sharing a lot of this stuff, those opportunities came back. And so it's helped me to grow a business out of it in the end.
What was your core like start of this business? So, like, was there a certain, I know you said like when the deals started coming in, but did you actually be like, okay, this is like when people make a business plan or something, or like, what's the trajectory of this business? Did you start thinking of that then, of like, well, I want to do this and I want it to get to this and so on? Or were you just kind of winging it the whole time?
A little bit of both. Like, I saw the business side of me, saw the potential of growing like my blog visitors and the potential of growing the revenue there. But a lot of this was just, I mean, the whole process was new to me. I did not set out to be someone that was on social media. My first videos, I never showed my face. I was not.
It's the worst, isn't it? It sucks. The funny thing is like, I do this, like I do the shirt show stuff, and I want to get involved in as much of my craft as possible, like with industry stuff. Like I'm any distributor, anything, like anybody who offers me to be like, oh, we want to show you this or send you here. It's always like, yeah, hell yeah. Because like, I just want to learn, like I want to learn all these other things. And I do have to be like public facing to a degree with like the shirt show, because it's what it is. It's a podcast or it's a video format or whatever it is, or social media. Like I hate it. Like I hate being on camera. I hate that whole thing. I'm just used to it at this point. Like I do it because like right now I'm in my office with a closed door. Like even though I'm doing this in my own space, I have to turn music on in the office so that my employees won't hear me talking, because I'm embarrassed by them just listening to what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And then I go to like trade shows and stuff, and everybody wants to talk to me or like whatever, which is awesome. I am happy to talk to anybody. But like, they're like, oh, well, you like this kind of thing. And I was like, dude, like, I don't love the being on camera. I don't like the whatever, but it is what it is. It's fun to a degree. But like you said, like at some point you have to see it as like, well, if I want this to grow or if I want to do this thing, I kind of have to push myself to be on camera or make these tutorials or whatever it is you're going to do. So what was that learning curve like for you, where you're just like, damn it, like I guess I have to do that? Like if a brand is going to come to you and be like whatever, like you kind of have to be a little bit on a game of, well, I got to make these videos and I got to talk to people about this thing and I got to look like I know what I'm talking about. Like it's so difficult to.
Yeah, for sure. I was really hesitant to get on camera in the beginning, but it was one of those, I just fell into it with that first video, and there was just that expectation that like I knew what I was doing and I was comfortable on camera. I did not want to be a public face on social media. But really for the first, when I probably grew my first 10,000, like I don't know how often I even showed my face on there. It may be a still picture, but I was not creating videos of me talking on camera. It was all just my hands. So if you watch all my first video, it's just it was a camera that I had above my table, and it was just filming what I was doing. And so I was just showing the process from above. And really, I think people were so intrigued with what I was doing that they weren't like looking for, why are you not showing up on camera? And this was also a little bit earlier in social media, where there wasn't that like expectation of being a face.
Everyone's an influencer or whatever else.
Yeah. And so that started to change how I did things over the years. There was, a time where I was like, oh man, every expert's saying I got to show up on camera now. Like I've built this without being on camera. How can I avoid doing that? And so I still, to this day, you don't often see my face in the videos. It's always just me voicing over, showing things, because it was not about me trying to grow and be an influencer by any means. It was really just trying to teach this process. And I'm like, you don't need to see my face to teach this process.
Yeah. The hard part is I feel like you hit a certain threshold with just showing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, this is how to do this. This is whatever. And I think that's the reality with all of these things. And I just got back from Print Hustlers, and they were talking. One of the talks was basically saying that with social media stuff that like there's all these algorithms and this and that and the other thing. And the only thing that really stands out to anybody is like a real, authentic, personal story and people being able to grab onto you and your story and like root for you, basically.
Yeah.
So like at some point you're going to be like, here's my hands and this is how you make a thing. Well, I feel like you're going to hit a ceiling at some point of like, okay, everybody who wants to see my hands make a screen print has seen it, but they're not invested in anything other than just learning what it is you're showing. They're not necessarily invested in like you growing and seeing your company become a thing and like, what's she going to do next? And what's this thing? And how was her weekend? And, all these different little stories you can put in. And then as soon as you put your face on and you be like, hey, I'm Dylan and this is my screen printing shop. And, this is whatever. It's like instantly like, oh, cool. Like, what's Dylan doing next? Or like, what's this thing? But it's just so hard too, because you don't want to be on camera. You don't want to do these things, but that like it's growing engagement with your brand or with your company because you have a story to tell. Some people are amazing at it. Some people it's like, hey, this is my feelings this morning. And I'm just like, dude, like you don't want to know what my feelings were this morning. Like, I don't know if the world wants to hear that or is ready for that. But did you notice a difference once you started being more of like a personality on there versus just tutorials?
Yeah, it became what I realized along the way is that I was building a community of people. And so the fact that like early on when I was building a following, I was responding to every comment, every DM, and I still try to this day to respond to all of them because that was really important to me. My husband even at the time said like, why do you feel like you have to respond to everybody? It's just social media. And I'm like, I didn't know at the time, but what I was growing was connections with these people. I was seeing the same faces, asking questions. I was knowing that they were working on a project this weekend and they had questions about it. And so it was fun for me to like get to know people that thought that my process was nice and that they were going to try it. And so I got excited to cheer them on as well. And so that started kind of me opening up a little bit about, where I was at. But along the way too, I was showing every project I did was projects I was making for what was going on in my life right now. Like my kids are in volleyball season, so I'm making volleyball shirts to wear to games. And so the entire time I've been making things that have kind of told the story as well of what we're up to and sharing that through the projects. I didn't want to just make shirts to just have a whole bunch of screen printed shirts laying around. Like I was always making things for the next holiday or what was going on at school. And so along with that came the story of what we were doing. And so I found other ways to connect and tell more of my story that felt a little bit easier to me. I built a newsletter following. And so those dedicated followers started joining my newsletter. And that's where I, tell more about what's going on in my week, or I'll open up with other projects I make and things that are just going on in my life that I'm not necessarily showing on social media.
I'm relating to you so hard right now because it's the same. It's the same for me. Like it's the exact same. Like I do shirt show and whatever. And it's like, I might make content or make this thing or do this recording with you or anybody. And like 90% of it's for me. Like I want to talk to you to hear your story because it motivates me personally to do something different in my life or in my business or whatever. And like people always talk to me like, oh, I like how real you were about this or that. And it's like, this is just what I'm trying to do. Like I'm trying to really naturally connect with you and like hear your story and be like, oh, I can implement this in my life. Like talking to you right now might motivate me to be like, oh, I do need to show my face more and I do need to do more social or whatever it is, like whatever the happening is. Yeah. But the cool part of that is, like you said, like those people who connect with that will DM me or text me or whatever it is, however they get a hold of me. And like, I want to connect with them. I want to respond to them because they took the time out of their day to say something to me specifically. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. And then B, it's like they connected and they understood and they want to grow or figure something out too. And like, it's really positive for me to reach back out to them and be like, hey, I know like a somewhat solution to what it is that you're asking me. And then I give them my 2 cents. And then if I see them later on, like they've overcome that thing they were asking me about, it's like so rewarding to be like, I think I had a little bit of a hand in that. You know what I mean? And then I keep getting all these DMs that are like, this changed my life, or I'm still screen printing because of you and the show, or this and that and the other thing. And it's like, dude, that fucking rules. Like, it's so amazing to get feedback like that of like, oh, this actually made a difference for me. And then like, just like you did, like I ended up starting a newsletter because I was like, getting personal questions of just like, how's the shop doing? And, what's going on with this? And it's like, all right, well, the first part of the Shirt Show newsletter, shout out if you want to sign up. Anybody wants to sign up, shirtshowofficial.com/newsletter. Every week I write one for my kitchen table. And it's like, oh, this is what happened to me this week. This is what I learned. I took this away from this thing that I did, and this happened, and it was a huge kick in the nuts or whatever. But then after that, it's a bunch of like, okay, this is a recap of last week's episode. This is the news from Printing United. This is tech tips from these certain people, and a funny meme at the end. And it's like, I look forward to writing those every week now because it's another avenue for people to connect and understand the story and whatever. So I understand where you're saying, like, at a certain point, it's a business, but it's also like ultra rewarding to like be involved in this like community of people that are just trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the fact that I could build a business out of that was like a huge bonus, but it wasn't really the focus all along. And so I think when you can just get out there and share openly and make connections, then things start to fall into place. And so I think that if I'd gone into it completely business minded, it wouldn't have gotten me to where I am, because you really have to be passionate about what you do in order to show up online authentically and connect with people. Yeah. You have to really be into it. So the fact that I just was loving this process and that it was working and I was making shirts and I was super excited about how I could make them and how quickly it worked and all of these things, that kept me going. But then, like you said, the comments I would get with people saying that they were inspired by me, that kept me going through the tough comments, because all along I would still get people saying like, you can't do that, that doesn't work, or whatever. And so just seeing the fact that I was reaching people and the right, the types of people that were the ones
those
really
are your
was connecting
people
with are my people. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I give you a lot of respect for doing exactly what you're doing, because there's a lot of people even in my side of this thing where it's like, they don't give a shit about the industry. They don't give a shit about the craft or the getting there, all these other things. It's just like, oh, well, how do I monetize this? Like, how do I make money off of this? How do I make money off of this? And it's like, yeah, I get it. We're in a business, but like, dude, come on, to a degree, like, can't this just be about what you're passionate about and what it is that you're trying to do? Why do you have to make money off of every single section of this thing? Like, just chill. All right. Like, well, it'll get there. Like, eventually,
Yeah.
just do what it is you're going to do. Do you have anybody who's I'm sure you do, reached out to you who have kind of gone from, this is a hobby craft or whatever it is, to, okay, I have a full-on business now because of you or from your tutorials?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many awesome stories of people. I just interviewed one of my followers, Lauren, who started screen printing, and it's kind of down the road turned into a mobile craft business. So she set up a whole studio in this trailer, and she does birthday parties, and so kids can pick a design and they'll come in and screen print for a birthday party. And it's just been so cool to see how people are now taking it and then teaching kids. And it's really keeping this art alive and the excitement of someone just seeing how a shirt is made. And so stories like hers keep me going. There are plenty of people that I've talked to that are out, doing all of the crafts fairs and events and selling the shirts that they're making and are super successful. And so that is what keeps me going. It makes me want to keep learning what the new processes are. Like, are there ways to make this more efficient? Are there tools that I can share that will help people make more money off of their business? And so that's kind of where I'm at now, is just helping people navigate the industry as it is right now. Because over the years, it's changed quite a bit. There's been a lot of technologies that have been added. And so I really enjoy trying out new machines and, trying to decide, like, is this something that would actually help me do, make better shirts at home? And so my focus is still on it being accessible for, home users, but it's grown a little bit more into people that are really making a business out of it. So I've demoed some more expensive machines that you could add on for those people that have followed me along the journey and now see this more as a business.
You know what's really funny that kind of like I just thought of is there's a lot of shops like me or bigger or whatever around the same size or something that are kind of that could easily look at you as an expert in a certain part of our business, because live printing, like in events and all these other things. And like I visited like some of the biggest ones, like Max at Family Industries and like all this other stuff. Like most of the stuff, a good amount of the stuff that they are doing in a live event for like a huge company, it could be, Adidas, Target, whatever it is, they're using methods that you're doing. You know what I mean? They're taking things, because we need a mobile way to do these things that's not super complicated. So, I've been to things where it's like, okay, cool, we're doing this event and it's a puff print or something or whatever it is at a live thing. And you know what they're doing behind the little table is they have a little Cricut cutter or a little plotter, and they're cutting out puff vinyl, and they're heat pressing it right there with I don't know, one of these off-brand ones from Amazon or something, and then they're pressing it and giving it to the client. And it's like, you're basically a Cricut mom doing live events on a large scale. You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's all these other brands like X-Tool and all these other things that are making these like at-home units, but really they work great for live events.
Yeah.
For us, because it's like, cool, well, I can have 4 of these and I can laser engrave I don't know, a tennis ball or something at an event. And it's like, cool, I can do this live. So it's like all these techniques that you're learning are actually super applicable to like big time live event printing. Like you might be at a craft fair making something, but you could just 10x that scale and bring it to, say, a NASCAR race and be making it for that client as like a white label thing. So it's like that's a whole nother side of your thing that you might not realize, is that it's very important to a lot of us who are trying to do like a lot of live printing. Like I just did one 2 weekends ago for American Apparel, and it was at the Fillmore in Philly for like a massive show. And it was like, we were sitting there with 2 heat presses that I bought on Amazon, and we were doing DTF on the merch from the band. And it was like, it's not the same way that we would necessarily do it at the shop, but it's what works for a mobile unit.
Yeah. Well, and that was part of, so I don't know if I designed a press with Ryanette, and when I went into designing this, it was because I wanted something that people at home could put on their kitchen counter and then be able to put away, because you don't have the space to keep it out. But in the process of making something so mobile and easy to pack up, it became something that live printers can use to, take a press to an event. I've had so much fun setting up a press at community events and being able to print. I mean, there's just nothing better than seeing someone's eyes when they like print their very first shirt and they get to walk away with it. So, my press has been great for that. I know All Made packs it up and travels around all their events with it. And so they're doing live printing on it. And it's opened up that business idea for a lot of people too. Like Lauren is, doing it out of a trailer, but you could set up anywhere and print. And it's another way to grow your business, to either, if you're a shop that is trying to just get your name out there by people learning how to print from you, they're going to take away a shirt. And now you've got a new customer because they're so excited about t-shirts now. So there's so many ways you can go with it.
What are some of the collaborations you mentioned, like making a press with Ryanette, but what are some other ones that you've worked on that have kind of changed things for you a bit?
Yeah, my first big one was with Speedball. I was using Speedball ink because that's what I got from the craft store when I first was learning how to do this. Right. And so I was tagging them a lot and started working with them, and ended up doing 2 beginner kits with them. One of them's kind of right there. You can see the edge of it, but there's 2 different kits. One of them is just a very basic learn to screen print with vinyl. If you have a vinyl cutter, you can buy this box that has the screen and squeegee and everything you need. The second one was a 2-color or a multicolor. It comes with 2 screens. And so you're kind of just taking it to the next level of being able to do more than one color. So those kits were something that was a really great starting point for me back when I was teaching the process. Now I have a kit I can.
So these are your kits. Like they're branded for you and everything?
They're co-branded. So it's Speedball's name, but it's got my name and logo on it as the creator of them. And that's my awesome. Kids are on the front of one cover and I'm on the other cover.
That's super cool. Like I would love that. It's such a cool, it's so rewarding to be like, oh yeah, I'm in like a Michaels or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're in Michaels. They're on Amazon. And so it's funny when my kids will come home and say that, someone saw them on an Amazon product. And so it's been really cool to walk into a store and see your products. And, but really there wasn't all the supplies in one for people that were wanting to get started. Right. And that was just something I kept seeing as I was teaching this process, and really how my collaborations in business have grown has just been from understanding from my community what they needed, like what would it take to get you to start? I think there's still a lot of people that even after watching my process are a little intimidated to start. And I want to make it as simple as possible so that they can have that experience I had with just the very basic screen and squeegee on a flat shirt on my table. And the fact that you lift the screen and it worked, it just starts your mind with like all the things you can do and directions you could go with this, whether it's for a hobby or for a business. Once you've seen yourself make a shirt, and that it's not as hard as it might sound, it gets you excited to try the next thing and to grow from there.
Right. So it's not a replacement, obviously. It's a tool to get you an intro into doing this process.
Yeah, I absolutely think that my method is just another way for people to learn this industry. It's not a replacement. It's allowed more people to try it without having to invest in like, I'm going to go all in and start a screen printing business. You can just try it for fun. There have been people that are doing this for like their Girl Scout troop or just a family event, and they all just want to have fun and make a craft, and you can try screen printing, and you don't have to take it further than that. You can keep it all just contained to a box, or you can, go a step further and start realizing that once you make one shirt and someone's wearing it, they're going to ask other people are going to ask where they got it. And it just starts to build that word of mouth. And before you know it, you could also have a business selling shirts without going into it with that mindset.
Yeah, more important, people ask for it, and then you go to something like Ryonet and you buy a 6-color manual, and then you're like, all right, cool, I can make these faster. I don't have to make these on my kitchen table.
Yeah.
And then eventually it turns into what it is, more and more. What other things have you made? I know you said you got those 2 kits, but what else have you kind of put together?
The Ryonet collaboration was my next big one. We designed the press that's a little bit behind me. You can kind of see it. It is mobile. It's got suction cup feet, so it can stick to any table. You really don't have to have a dedicated space or mount it to something. So it's nice that you can use it, put it away. But one of the big things that as I was learning this process, I wanted to do multicolor. At one point I had a 4-color press, but it literally took up my entire room to I'd have to move everything around to be able to do that, use that press. So when I went to them and was working on this press, I was like, I want it to also be able to do multicolor. So a big feature of this is that it has clamps that you can register your screens, and then you can take the clamp off, the whole clamp head off. And so you can actually do multicolor shirts on this press. You could do an unlimited number of colors with this press. Just have to have a clamp for each color and a clamp and screen for each color. So the ability to then turn a small, press into something that could do multiple colors has been a big game changer for me personally, because I wanted to be able to do it in my space without having to, move everything out of the way for a big 4-color press. Now I've got this, and I can do a 5-color print and not take up any more space. So that was really exciting. And that's something that I'm still just showing people how it works and building the excitement around having that, because it's just something that really changed the game for me after learning for, a long time with just on the table printing. That was my next big move, was getting a press. And so
The
that's where it
evolution,
started to change the game. And so I wanted to have something that people could still keep very small. It's not a huge investment still, but it's setting you up for success. So it's really well built because it's from Ryanette. Every piece to it is well thought out, and it's something that you can not just start with, but you could grow with this. Or if you end up getting a shop, then this could turn into your live printing press. And so it's
Right.
something that will grow with them. And my big goal was I didn't want people to have to just keep starting all over and investing in new stuff. So from my kit that was selling the wood frames, I wanted to make sure that wood frames would work on the press. Like, you don't have to go out and buy all new frames and squeegees. Now, there was a point in time where I learned what a better screen and squeegee would do for me. And that's when I upgraded my equipment. And that's kind of what I want people to see when they're learning the process, is you can get started very simple, but upgrade when you feel it's necessary. Don't upgrade because everybody tells you have to have better stuff. You'll start to learn what a different squeegee might feel like, and pick up one that's going to work for you.
Yeah. I've heard it a bunch of times, like even on this show, when people got started, it was like, oh, I started in my mom's basement, or I started in my bedroom, and I ran out of space, and this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like you said, like, now you're giving the opportunity for more people to learn this craft or get into screen printing in a smaller area. They could be doing this in their bedroom. They could be doing this in a family room or whatever it is. They don't have to have a dedicated, oh, I got to clean out the garage because I got to fit a 6-foot little dryer and a 4-color Riley Hopkins or something in it. Not that there's anything against that, but again, that's more of an investment. That's more an investment in space and time and money and everything else.
Yeah.
As to, okay, I want to learn how to screen print. Maybe I can start with a smaller kit. So it's pretty awesome.
And I think it's important from a business perspective, to understand when you are ready to upgrade things. Like, if you're just doing this for fun, even, like, why would you need different equipment? And then as you're starting to look at this from a business, like, don't just run out and go buy the newest, biggest machine. Like, understand what the difference is and know when it's right for you to upgrade.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge thing. That's one of those things that I feel like no one ever really listens to you unless they like ultra respect you. Like, it's like me with my kids, I could be like, hey, I was your age once too. Like, don't do this. And they're like, okay, dad, like whatever. And then when that thing happens to them, I'm like, oh shit, maybe dad had a point. But like, they never know until they get to that point where they're like, everybody tries to go get the biggest shop and the best brand new equipment or whatever. When they can't make those bills and they take their equipment back, they're like, oh yeah, maybe they were right. Maybe I should have started here and grinded it out for a couple of years before I just jumped in and bought all this fancy equipment that I don't know how to use.
Yeah. I mean, I think starting small scale allows you to build your business first, like build your customer base, start getting orders in, that those first orders can fund your next equipment purchase, rather than trying to go all in and hoping that your business is going to work out. You can grow your equipment with your business.
Right. Exactly. Christina had mentioned some stuff. I don't want to give anything away, but you've been testing some things. You recently tried timing, making screens, and all these other things to compare. Can you give me some notes on what you found out with that?
Yeah. So years ago, Ryan Moore and Brett Bowden and I were at the Made Lab, and we did a test because we were just curious, like, which method is going to be faster. So screen printing with vinyl, just the traditional screen printing, and then all automation. So Brett did an entire shirt with every automated piece that they had there in the Made Lab. Ryan set up a screen with emulsion, burned the screen, and then I used a vinyl cutter and set the whole thing up with vinyl, and beat them all pretty easily, just to show that, like, this method of setting up a screen is a quick way to get a shirt made. So I think what that showed was that the time to set something up is not as much of a factor. So I just did it. I was telling her about another video I was making, and I timed myself making 3 shirts with vinyl. So from opening my computer to import the design. The design was already done, but I imported the design to holding up 3 shirts that were cured and everything. It took me 25 minutes. So, and that was, I cleaned my screen off. Everything was, done at the end.
You did the whole process.
The whole process, 3 shirts done. So I think that what excites me about that is that, if you have an order for 3 shirts, like it could still be profitable, only taking 25 minutes. So it's just about knowing what methods to use. You're not going to set up your whole automated equipment for 3 shirts. It's just not going to pay off in time. So that's another reason why this method's been exciting to share with people, is that it might give you the opportunity to take on some jobs that otherwise wouldn't be appealing, because you can quickly make a shirt with screen printing and vinyl.
Yeah, it's pretty relevant to something that at my shop we just kind of discussed and changed up, because we had redone our pricing chart. And I think the mentality was, when DTF came out and all these other things, that we were like, let's take away our minimums. We have no minimums now. Somebody who comes in wants 1 shirt, they're going to pay for whatever, but like we can still do 1 shirt. That's fine. So when we opened those floodgates to like, hey, we can do any quantity, whatever it is, we kept getting all these orders that were like, okay, this is 6 pieces, this is 12 pieces, this is, 15 pieces, whatever. Well, in our minds, we were like, okay, anything under 25, we're just going to do DTF, or we're going to do vinyl, or we're going to, whatever the project calls for. Well, what we kept finding out is, because we ordered DTF, we were waiting multiple days for DTF to come in, or if someone forgot to order it at a certain time, it was going to take a couple extra days or whatever it was. And then the staff was kind of just like, all right, well, we got to wait for the DTF to come. But production Bill was just like, I could just print these in like 2 minutes. Like, why are we waiting for, like, it's 6 shirts, it's 3 shirts, whatever it is. It's a 1 color front, 1 color back. Like, I can literally burn a screen right now, throw it up on press, and it'll be done. Like, why are we waiting and ordering DTF or vinyl or whatever it is? And it was like, yeah, this makes way more sense. Like, we were just in our heads of like, okay, because it's a smaller run, it's only valuable to do it this way. You know what I mean? When it was like, no, we can actually burn screens and set it up and be done. And it's actually the highest quality it can be. It's screen printed, and it's, whatever. And it was done actually faster than if we were to be like, well, this isn't worth my time, I'm just going to do it in DTF or whatever. And it's funny because we just changed our pricing chart. We're like, well, if it's 2 colors or less, we're just going to screen print it, even if it's like 4 pieces, because we can throw it up and put it on press and be done with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's interesting you were talking about that, because it's something that a larger scale shop is evaluating too. Of like, it's actually quicker for us to just make a screen and do it.
Yeah, I think it starts you thinking about like, okay, what is the actual project? How many colors? And then looking at all the options you have. I think that's why it's important to know and understand DTF as well, because there's definitely times where it's not going to be the right choice to set up multiple screens for a small order. And so having DTF to fill those, it allows you to just kind of pick and choose which method works for each customer that comes in.
Are you finding that too? Because there's a whole thing in like our industry together is barrier of entry used to be like, okay, well, I got to learn to screen print. Like we were talking about before, everything me and you have basically said is like people learning to screen print and in their bedroom and like all this other stuff. And then eventually they go to a bigger manual and they buy this and they buy that and they got to learn all these variables. A lot of people now are just skipping everything and they're like, hey, I can buy a heat press online and I'm just going to order DTF and I'm going to start a t-shirt business.
Yep.
And for those listening, I did air quotes. Like they can just buy a heat press and put it on their, their dresser in their bedroom and make t-shirts technically. Yeah. Are you finding that you're kind of pivoting a little bit in your business or adding a branch to that where it's like, hey, this is another way to get into this education wise and to do this. Like maybe you don't want to do a 3-4 color print. You want it to be this full color photo of whatever you did and you can do it this way. Like, are you even diving into that or you're just like, that's not my thing?
Yeah, I just got my first DTF printer here. So
it's really
been fun. Yeah. I got the X-Tool apparel printer. And so I've been it's exciting to see that you have all these different options now, right? It's becoming a little more affordable to have some equipment at home, but ordering transfers. I have a lot of people that started their business by, just having a heat press and ordering transfers, and they sell shirts, and that is going really well. And then they'll come to me and want to learn how to screen print because they realize the efficiency of, if you've got a one color design and they want 20 shirts, not having to order 20 transfers, you can actually make more money on that order. So I think that it's the
same thing we do. It's a larger scale.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it's important even for someone that's just getting started to know that you have lots of options out there. And really what I try to do in showing people different equipment and different options is that you really have to think about what your customer base is, what they're asking for, and then figuring out which process is going to make the most sense there. There's so many options. But every time I look at a project, I'm like, okay, well, that's definitely screen printing, or that one's going to be DTF. And there's usually a reason behind that. And so it's not trying to force every project into one method and making it work. It's about figuring out what makes the most sense. And so you can either look at that from like, I want to figure out the lowest cost method because the cost is important, or even for me, still, it's all about the feel of the shirt. That's what got me into screen printing. I'm still a water-based screen printing fan. And so if I'm going to make a shirt for myself, I'm still going to screen print it because I want the feel of the shirt. So
you just answered my next question. I was going to say basically like try to be as unbiased as possible. But like if you were to start all over knowing what you know now, which branch would you have started? Would you have gone with the vinyl? Would you have gone with the screen print? Would you have gone with DTF? Like what would you do now if you were to say someone's listening to this podcast and is like, I want to just start today. I've never done it before. What would you recommend? Buying a heat press, buying a screen printing kit, buying a cutter? What would you say?
So I have an answer, but it's kind of two separate answers. So if I was looking at this like I wanted to start a business and get into it, I would probably say buying a heat press and ordering DTF transfers and like building a customer base of orders to start generating some income would be the right route. But if I was starting all over what I know now, personally, I would get into screen printing because you just can't beat the feel of it. That even with DTF, like to me, that is such an important factor, especially with like soft shirts, and being able to get that soft print is so important. And so that is also another angle you can take of, there's so many DTF shirts out there now, but people are starting to realize they don't like that big stiff feel. So being able to market yourself as someone that can screen print is going to open up a new audience for you as well. So as far as processes go, screen printing is still my favorite for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think the funny thing about that though too is there's even branches within those things of like, okay, I want to do say like you said, like, hey, if I want to do a business, I can buy a heat press and do TTF or whatever. And it's like, there's so many things in there that you could do to make it better, even if you did just buy a heat press. Like you could buy screen printed transfers. Like you can buy all these different types of screen printed transfers that are going to feel better. They're going to soak into the shirt more. They're going to almost feel just like if you were to screen print it in a shop. And also even with DTF, like things that I've realized, there's all these tools and plugins for like Photoshop and everything else where you can basically take any image and then instead of just being stupid, what do I want to say? Like if I took a picture of my face in this hoodie and it was going on a black t-shirt, like you could just upload an image of me, cut me out, and then send it off and get DTF back. And it's literally just a sticker of me heat pressed to a t-shirt. But instead I would throw it into a plugin, or I would know the manual skills of doing so, and I would half tone out everything that would allow the shirt to come through. Like all the dark black in my hoodie and my hat and my glasses and everything would be the shirt. So the only parts that would actually be pressed are my face and like all these other things. But even in there, you can add halftones and like my beard and my mouth being open and all these other things to where that design now is super breathable and flowy with the shirt, and it's not a giant sticker. And then again, your quality goes way up. And it's like, oh, I wouldn't necessarily know the difference to screen, like the average person, I'm saying, not like someone who's in our industry, but like the average person getting this shirt's not going to necessarily know the difference of, oh, someone did DTF or they screen printed this or they, whatever method they used, they just know that the shirt fits good, feels good, and it doesn't wash off.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying is it's like people just think like, oh, one mode. Like you're saying, screen printing, I can only use plastisol. They don't know there's water basins, all these different special effects and all these different ways to do it. Like even plastisol gets a bad name. It's like you can add all these, you know, additives and everything else, soft hands, all these other things to make it feel in a different way. And they're like, oh, I can't even tell the difference between this and a water-based print or whatever. And it's like, there's so many things to dive into in all of these things. So I kind of agree with you. I think that if I was to just start fresh, brand new now, that maybe get a little of both, like get a heat press and have the majority of higher color, multicolor stuff be that, like a screen print transfer or a DTF. And then anything that's 4 colors or less, learn to screen print and then just evolve both of those until you get your customer base and then grow and then decide like, okay, this is what I do. And you don't have to decide because like even me now, 3 autos and all these employees and whatever else, I'm still using both.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to pick. You just need to pick what your customer wants and what makes sense for them. So
I think that's the biggest thing is that you've got to grow the business. Like you've got to make sure that you can stay in business. So getting those orders in initially is really important. So you've got to find methods that allow you to make a customer happy. They love the way it feels or whatever, they're going to come back to you to order again. But it also has to be something you enjoy doing. So if you are just struggling with one method, then know that there are other ways to make a shirt. But the bottom line is if you're in this for a business, you've got to grow those customers and get your name out there. And you can't do that if you just spend forever trying to learn every process and never selling a shirt. So you just got to go for it and then learn as you go. I mean, I did that. I learned as every shirt got better. And I look back at that very first shirt I print and I'm like, oh man, that's terrible. But at the time I thought it was amazing. Like I thought it was so cool. So you'll learn and you'll also learn what your customers think are important, whether they're critiquing the feel of it or whether they are, you've got a market maybe where people want pictures on shirts and you're able to do it DTF and they're happy because they got a picture on the shirt. Like there's so many ways you could go with this, and just listening to your customers and your community has been the best way for me to grow my business, is just hearing that feedback and knowing what people want and being willing to kind of pivot and go with what's working.
I want to kind of branch off of this a little bit because I feel like we kind of went full circle on like what you are trying to achieve, but also you are very successful in the like social media aspect of like growing your business and doing what you're going to do. Do you have anything nowadays, especially with everything changing every 5 minutes? Like, what's a good way to kind of approach this to grow your business? Is it just be authentic and post once a day or whatever it is you're going to do? Or do you have any tips as far as like somebody small or big or whatever to kind of grow those channels?
Yeah, I think that, gosh, the algorithms changed so many times over the years of growing that we just went to Print Hustlers and there was a whole talk on basically social media and all and these algorithms and stuff. And basically it seemed very doom and gloom, where he was just like, it changes every other day and everything now is more like, what do you say? 1% of your content in your feed is from your actual friends. And it's mostly just like all these other things like for yous and like trying to push you new content constantly. And it's like, well, who am I making my shit for then? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Like if it's just going out to the world, then how do you approach that?
I think you've got to figure out who your people are. Who are you trying? Like, who do I want to teach? Those are the people I've got to find out there. And that's who I want to see my videos. One thing I learned early on is just having a viral video means absolutely nothing if it's not something that's going to help you grow your business. It feels cool to get a lot of comments on a video, but unless you can take that and run with it, then it doesn't really mean anything. So I think first looking at who you're trying to reach, who your community is, and then really just putting out content to connect with those people. And so even though the algorithm has changed so many times since I started growing a following, honestly, my my views are still getting better and better. They're not going down. I don't see like the ups and downs as everybody's talking about how terrible it is. I'm still able to post videos and get a ton of views.
If you're consistent, then it shouldn't fluctuate too much unless there's a major change.
So just being consistent over the years and just continuing to know what my lane is and post what my content is has worked well. I don't try to pay attention to the algorithm like that. I don't let that be my focus. My focus in making content is always like, what do people want to see? So-and-so just asked to see a multicolor shirts. That's what I'm going to work on and post. I'm not thinking like, oh, that's not going to go well with the algorithm. But at the same time, I've learned over the years that you have to get a little bit better and better at your content creation to get those views. So there is a lot of strategy I put into how I edit and how I
see. That's what I wanted to know, is because for my shop personally, like we have a style of just like, showing the process and whatever else. And then more and more, it's like, well, the only ones that are getting like good traction are ones that have some kind of hook at the beginning or something.
Yeah.
And it's like every tutorial style video or walkthrough video now, you need to have something that's like in the first 3 seconds that's like, okay, this is going to make you want to watch the rest of it. Are you doing any of that? Like, what's your approach to that? Because you can't just be like, oh, today we're going to do a 3-color whatever. Is it just like, oh my god, here's my 3-color, and then it goes right into like, this is how you made the 3-color? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, but that is absolutely the way to be found today, is that hook of, people are scrolling so fast. They've got to know that they want to stop and watch your videos. So those first 3 to 5 seconds are super important. I think that getting creative, I'm still showing the same process. I'm showing screen printing pretty much every day. Yeah. And so it's just been getting creative on like how I start the video, what I say, how do I connect with those people that are scrolling that maybe have never even seen screen printing before. And so it's a lot of trial and error. I think of an idea and I post it. I don't overthink it. I just try to get stuff out there. And if it does well, I'm like, okay, well, that resonated well. Those words or that hook resonated well. So I'm going to do more of that type of thing. And it's just, I really kind of have found this as like almost a game of like looking at my posts and how they do and which ones get comments and which ones don't, as like how I'm going to build my next post. And instead of it being discouraging that one doesn't do well, I'm like, okay, well, this is what I did differently in that one. So that's, that's good to know. It's all like data coming in to know what works and what doesn't. So I use all of those pieces very strategically to know like what I should try together. And then the other piece of it is just being consistent. You've got to, if you're trying to grow your following, you just have to post all the time. Now that I've kind of grown to where I'm at, I don't post every day. I post a couple times a week, and I don't feel as stressed out to have to post something every day, because I realize that if I spend the time coming up with that right hook, that one really good video will do as much good for me as, 3 or 4 posts that I just made real quickly.
I feel like that's like the Mark Rober approach of like, oh, well, I only make X amount of videos a year, or I can't remember who else was doing that, where it's like, oh, well, I spend $1 million making this video and I put all this effort and time and research and whatever. But it's like that one video that he posts every so often has a huge number. Because there's so much effort in, there's so much research put in, there's whatever. Whereas if he just did like these small videos every single day, it would be like, there's not a lot of value in these. Whereas just like one major video
is what builds your data, though, so that like, I think to get to that point of being able to sit back and know when you're producing a video that it's going to do well, you have to have all those data points to know what works and what doesn't with your audience or the people you're trying to reach.
Right.
So I think it's important, if you're getting started, just to start posting, even if it's not getting traction right away. Once you start to realize what works with people, then it can start to snowball. And that's how my following got started. Was I realized what people were wanting to see, and I stopped posting about other stuff and just posted about what people were wanting to see, and then posting consistently. The very beginning, when I grew to my first 10,000, was back before what the algorithm is now, but I used the exact same audio song on my video. This was before you could actually pick from a music library in Instagram. So I would use a royalty-free song, and I use the exact same one on every video. And it was just me showing the screen printing process with just my hands. And I would get so bored of that song. But when I started to kind of, there's a shift in the algorithm, the music stuff came out and trending audio was a big thing. And I started experimenting with that. I had someone reach out and say, I miss hearing your song. Like when I was scrolling through, I knew that was your video because they would hear the start of the song. And so I think that what that shows is that you also have to be recognizable when you start to grow, you get a following. They're not necessarily going to see your videos, or maybe they just don't, stop long enough to know that it's you. So you have to have some way to show them that this is you and your videos, and they remember seeing what you do. And so they'll stick around longer than 5 seconds to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, there's a guy, and again, this proves your point, is like there's a guy, and I'm not a sports person, but I think he bought like a stadium or whatever it was, some team, and every single one of his videos, he's in like a yellow tux with a yellow top hat and like all this sort of stuff. I don't even know what the dude's face looks like. Yeah, I don't even know what the dude's face looks like, but I know when I scroll through and I see that video, it's going to be him doing something wild to market his stadium or whatever it is. Yeah. And am I right in that? I mean, you know the guy. Like, am I saying that?
Yeah, he started the Savannah Bananas.
Okay, so I'm just saying that's the thing. That's his, like, okay, when I get to that video, I know it's going to be an interesting marketing style video because it's him in his yellow outfit or whatever. But if he was wearing a different outfit every day, I probably would have scrolled right by it because that's what's recognizable to me is this dude in this outfit. So it's kind of similar to you and your song is just like, okay, well, I know it's her now. I'm going to stop because sometimes you are just in that doom scroll laying in bed or whatever you're doing, like next.
Yeah.
And then you might miss a bunch of stuff that's actually really cool, but it didn't grab my attention in the first second or something. So I went right by it. So I don't know. That's cool. Is there anything else that you want to add that's like an advice or something, just somebody trying to start out what they should do that we might have missed?
I mean, my biggest piece of advice is just to go for it. I mean, don't be scared that you have to learn the right way or I've been in this long enough to know if something works for you, it's the right way. Like whatever method you want to use to get the final result, if it works for you, then it's fine. Do that. You don't have to follow all the norms and you don't have to go to school to learn how to do this. Like figure out what works for you and what resources you have and start small and just try it. I think that once you pull that squeegee for the first time, you'll be hooked. So it's just a matter of just getting the courage to go for it and realize that there's really nothing to lose. I mean, grab an old t-shirt and screen print on it if you're worried about ruining a blank. So you really don't have to worry about, wasting a lot of money. I mean, just grab the very basics and try it. And then every time you go from there, it'll just get better and better. And then you can start learning all these techniques. So you're talking about, different types of inks or meshes. Like, don't worry about that when you're getting started. Just start with what you have and you can learn how to fine tune and get better at everything as you go. Cause we're all still learning those today, right? Like we're still figuring out ways to make DTF feel different or whatever it is. Like you just have to get your foot in the door and get it started.
Yeah. What's next for you? What are you working on now? What's the next business move?
I am just still kind of building up my products. I'm, working on the press still, just letting people know about that. So I'm still really just in content creation mode, trying to get the word out and really just still trying to reach people that haven't tried this yet. And so I'm just... Is
there anything that you can go to or do that's kind of pushing that? Like, do you go to specific like trade shows or anything like that, like a craft thing or something just to kind of get the
I've done a lot of shows before. I love live printing. I've taught classes live. That's a really fun one, is to actually get to meet people in person in print. So definitely want to get back into doing more of that. I've been focusing a lot on content, and I've built up an ebook and online course that I worked for a long. I mean, I had it a long time ago, and I've updated it quite a few times over the years. So trying to make those resources easy for people all over the world trying to get started, and you don't have to attend a class. But
how does that do? Because I've always been kind of intrigued with that kind of thing of like people making these like masterclass type classes or selling something as like a course. Does that actually do pretty well for you business wise?
Yeah, that's the core product that really built my business, honestly, was selling my own ebook and course. The brand deals, the collaborations are all great, but that piece is, something I can control in mine.
That's your moneymaker.
Yeah. And so that's a big piece. And it's something that I'm really passionate about because I put everything I've learned, all the things I learned the hard way into this so that people could grab that and try it out the first time and not make all the mistakes I made. And so my goal is, I think that if someone can try the process and not fail, they can get a decent result, then they're going to be excited to keep trying it and learning and, maybe wanting to get a press at some point. So just showing people that all the information's there. You just really have to be willing to go for it. Try it out.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get to the fun personal questions.
Okay.
Do you happen to have a shop hack of any kind, be it a business hack, a printing hack, a craft hack, anything like that?
Oh man. A hack.
Or something that you do that you don't know if a lot of people do, but it's super beneficial?
Goodness, I guess in terms of like vinyl on the screen is my big hack for the printers watching, but hacks within vinyl is that every time
I guess for me not knowing, like what kind of vinyl should you buy to do that? Like, is it just any kind of vinyl? Is it a specific one that sticks better to screen mesh? Like what do you do?
So I've tested quite a few different types of vinyl over the years. I've kind of fallen into two that work the best for me. The Caesar PSV, which is an adhesive vinyl, that brand works really well. That's what I use day in and day out. Orcal 651 also works really well. It's like an outdoor grade vinyl. And I find that both of those stick really well to the screen, even after you've been printing for an hour and you've got it really wet with ink. Those are still staying stuck for that whole time. So those would be my vinyl recommendations. But as I grew and learned about screen printing, one of the things people kept asking is like, well, what if I want to save that screen and reuse it like you would with emulsion? Well, the vinyl is going to peel off as soon as you get it wet and then run it through to clean your screen off. So I started using heat transfer vinyl. So instead of ironing the vinyl on the shirt, I iron it onto mesh, and then I can use that as a permanent reusable screen. And so that was kind of a big game changer along the way as well, realizing that like if they're my logo or things that I'm going to print all the time that I don't want to sit there and weed every time I need to do it, I can make a permanent screen out of that. I've got
one. So
you're
just laying it down, putting the vinyl on, and then ironing it to the mesh. Exactly.
So you end up with basically what an emulsion screen would look and feel like. The only difference is you can't get it off. I haven't had much luck trying to get the adhesive off of that if you ever wanted to try and reclaim your screen. So I'll use things like my wood screens where you can take the cording out and then just replace the mesh. Those work really well for iron-on vinyl so that I can keep if I want to use that frame again,
realistically, like a wooden frame, like I don't know what size, 2024 or under, isn't really that expensive.
Yeah.
So like if you're doing multiple designs that you're going to continue to use, like your logo, it's worth spending the $20 on a new screen to just have it.
Right. And if you're going to dedicate a screen with emulsion to it anyways, and it's going to sit there with that design on it forever, then it doesn't really matter that it's not going to come off.
Right. Exactly. That's true. Greatest fail.
Oh man. Gosh, you gave me a heads up on these questions and I forgot to think about this at a time.
It's nice kind of sometimes to get them off the cuff. Like when I say biggest fail, what was the one that pinged in your brain and instantly gave you anxiety?
Man, I've had a lot of print fails over time. I can think of a handful of different designs that I'm like, oh, that was a pain. But I think that because I'm using these videos to teach people, that every time I fail, I try to use it as like, this is what other people are probably experiencing first
Right.
time. And so I kind of flip it to make it something that I can still post the video because I want to show people here's what not to do. I printed a design. I forgot to mirror the vinyl one time. And so I printed a design mirrored on a shirt and got all the way to like finishing the shirt before I realized that it was flipped. But just using those as teaching points to show people that like, okay, yeah, that happened. Guess what? I can wash the shirt out and still save it. So, just kind of flipping all of those fails into something that actually worked ended up turning into really good content for me. So
yeah, it's really good for your business to show
fails.
not to do. Yeah, for sure. All right, I'll pivot the question into a new one that I've added. What is the biggest risk you've ever taken in your business?
Oh goodness.
Is it one of your products? Is it?
I've invested a little into, like, I started selling my own transfer tape at one point, and would have to buy that in bulk in order to get pricing down. So I was having to keep an inventory of that. As a small business everything was digital, like that was a risk for me to keep an inventory of products. And then definitely learned a lot of business lessons along the way. That company ended up deciding they didn't want to sell it to me anymore. And so trying to figure out what I'm going to do to replace it, because I've got all these people that love this tape. And so that's probably been my biggest challenge as of recently, is just pivoting when another brand lets me down or,
right.
something doesn't work out. I try to keep as much of my core business things that I can control, because I've learned that letting my business be dependent on all these other people as a small business owner is very risky. So trying to keep my products stable has been really helpful. All
right, last question. It's my favorite. Top 4 favorite movies of all time.
Dang it. You're going to ask this. I'm not a huge movie watcher, so this is going to be disappointing.
All right, hey, let me change it for you, because if you're not a big, do you watch TV? Like, do you watch shows?
A little bit.
Oh, come on. All right, I was going to say, what are your top 4 favorite movies, or not movies, shows that you've watched?
So it's funny because I'm like, honestly, like in creative mode all the time. My downtime is sitting on Pinterest looking for ideas and things to make and things to do. And so my shows end up being things that completely distract me from business. So I watch a lot of like murder mystery crime shows, Dateline kind of shows are my thing. Just because
it's
it completely
so funny.
a story distracts me from like getting an idea in the middle of a TV show. I can't watch like
it's so funny to me, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but it's like people could look at me and be like, this dude's going to be into horror movies or these like horrible graphic things or like thoughts or whatever. I am the complete opposite. I like stuff that, like, I don't watch any horror movies. I don't like anything that's like murder or whatever else like that, other than like obviously like super fake like movie stuff. But like it's always the like sweetest looking ladies and whatever that are like, I love the like triple homicide shit, and it's like, what is happening? Like,
I know, it's funny. It's like something that's furthest from my reality. That's what I want to tune everything else out with.
I really don't get it. But well, on that point, in the working and getting motivated, let's change it to this. Are there a couple YouTube channels or Instagram or something like that that are really motivational for you, like something you draw inspiration from?
I sit there and scroll a lot, and when I'm scrolling, I try to put on like if I need to come up with a project to work on, every video that I scroll through, even if it's not anything to do with my industry or what I'm doing, I'm trying to pull out things out of those as I'm scrolling. So there's not necessarily one, creator I run to every time I need an idea. It's really just kind of opening your mind to all the industries and then like taking that and say, oh, I bet I could screen print on that because that's really popular, kind of finding what's trending. There's a certain type of tote bag or something that's trending. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to show how to DIY screen print on that. So I kind of try to pull from
That's awesome.
what people are watching and then like take your twist on it. So whatever you're known for or whatever your channel is showing, try to use that as inspiration. But a lot of it is just, scrolling through Pinterest, going to the store, actually, like going out and shopping. A lot of times I'll get inspiration from that to see like what shops are, what big brand stores are using for their designs. And so looking at a t-shirt, not just for that shirt, but like, oh, I like that font, or I like the colors of that together, and taking pictures of that when I'm out and about just to get ideas.
What's huge for me with stuff like that is, just like you can get inspiration, like going to the mall and like going to certain stores and seeing how they're printing things or what they're doing and whatever. But a lot of times I get big inspiration when I go to something like Disney or Universal, or I go to some getaway beach thing or something, and I see like all the different offerings for the same brand. So like when you go to Disney, it's like, okay, over here they did a bunch of like DTF. Like I think it was last year I went all the new Disney, because every year they have like, these are the Disney shirts that you like 2025 or whatever. I feel like almost every single one of them was DTF, because it was like every color. Whatever on all these things. And it was like, okay, cool. Well, it's just a little motivating to be like, well, if Disney thinks it's okay, like if Disney can sell this hoodie for $140, like with that print on it, it makes me feel more confident to know that I can do something similar. Exactly. Or I think it was like a year and a half ago or 2 years, it was like everything was embroidered. It was like every design on the front of a shirt or whatever logo, it was just embroidered on a t-shirt or embroidered on a hoodie. And it was like, holy shit, why is embroidery so like popular now? I think it was like Christina's daughter or even my daughter, like there was this whole like flowery Hawaiian looking brand where it was like both sleeves, the entire front and back of a hoodie was embroidery, like huge embroidery. It was like, how do you even wear that thing? It's like stiff, you can't even move. And it was just like, that was popular. You know what I mean? You don't know that until you get out into the wild and see like what's working and what's trending. And it's just getting those inspirations from different things that make us move forward in our business. But well, Jennifer, I really appreciate you coming on. This was awesome. This was really fun. I'm excited to see what you're doing. And again, like, I don't want people to think that this is like a different thing than what it normally is. I feel like you're very much involved in getting new waves of screen printers involved in our industry and getting them, excited to become something else or become more manufacturing or get involved in our craft. So I really appreciate what it is you're doing, and I hope you can keep doing it forever and sell a shitload of classes or whatever you're going to do. But I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. And I think it's just exciting to see screen printing stay alive. I think that's, by getting new people in and teaching them, it's just really trying to grow this craft that is it's something we all love, and we don't want it to die out with other technologies. And I think that it's going to stick around if we make it accessible for more people.
It'll always be here. It's just going to evolve, and that's what people need to realize. Is it's just, you need to kind of evolve with it, but the things that you're doing aren't going away. It's just a different style.
Yep.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you at the next show, maybe. Are you going to Long Beach?
I'm not sure yet, but
the answer is yes.
Long Beach will be the next
one. You will be there.
Yes.
Just say yes. All right, we'll see you later.
All right, thanks so much.
Bye.